Welcome to the shooting show. This week we're back in Scotland and David Virtue guides us onto 3 separate Roebucks, plus Byron talks us through the Swarovski Ballistic reticle and how to get the best from it. The Roebuck season is well underway and David Virtue is back to guiding. This time he's taking 2 German clients out after bucks. They've been hunting for a couple of days already by the time we join him, and after a successful start to the week, they're on the hunt for another trophy buck. Let's hope the curse of the camera doesn't strike once more. Their first location gives up a few does, all of whom are quick to spook. We decide on a quick change of scenery and head to a known haunt accompanied by the landowner. After a short hop in the pickup, we split up for the next stage of the hunt. Our camera will follow a 2-man stalk with David guiding and German gun Peter in the hot seat. They know where they expect the buck to be, but they still have to be careful. They don't want to bump any other roe in the area and ruin their chances before they start. The pair head out, spying as they go. The evening is perfect and the wind is in their favour. Somewhere down below, among the gorse, the buck is surely venturing out. It's just a case of spotting him before he spots us.
You can come in and just go into that corner, okay? Go with this wall somewhere.
Sure enough, the buck is out, and it's obviously on a mission. He moves towards the boys but only offers a frontal neck shot, which Peter isn't keen on. Before we know it, the buck has gone.
It was just one of those things. It was just, the stalk was right, but the buck didn't see us and started to come towards us. It was just marking up its territory and it came straight towards us. It stopped about 40 yards, but it just couldn't quite get a shot. And it either got our wind or somebody actually came in behind us in the field to check horses further over, and it spooked it, and that was a chance gone. It was close, but no cigar.
The next morning it's time for Peter's son Christian to try his hand at a trophy buck. All the signs are right and we don't even have to get out of the vehicle to spot our quarry.
There we go, over here, and just follow it and you can keep the nest and you'll get a nice lean. Yep.
Keen not to spook the beasts, we drive up the road away before making a plan to stalk the buck among them. Today local boy Philip is giving David a hand and guiding the young German in. By the time we reach the deer's last known location, they have moved on. Carefully proceeding, we follow the route they have taken. Sadly, only the does remain on our arrival, as out of camera shot the buck escapes over the fence into a plantation.
He was always on the move quick.
Yeah.
He was always, the door was leading him away around the corner all the time.
Yeah.
And he just jumped the fence and into the plantation, but the 2 does are still out in the field, 70 to 80 yards away. You would think he would have just walked out and milled about with the does, but he was always keen to get around the corner. He was always keen to get back in. You could see he was.
Sometimes not Dean below there.
It's a good bit just below, David.
No, I've shot a couple of nice bucks in there in the past.
It's a great whip for it, like.
I thought there would be sheep hunting this, but now there's no, obviously.
Undeterred, the team regroups to stalk the next likely location. This spot has produced many bucks in previous years, but today little shows. It's another frustrating blank.
Out from the wood?
Aye.
I'll be on there.
Aye.
Yeah. So we'll just stalk up the side here,
Just stalk up the side, just up that edge.
And then outside the wood it's all hawthorns as well, so they could just be...
Just on the hawthorn?
Aye.
Right.
And then the bank continues on beyond the wood. But
Right.
I would think when we get up to the wood, it'll be in that bit.
Just in the bowl on the other side of the top
and,
of it?
Aye, and there, on this side of the wood.
Yep, no bother.
Sharp.
Yep, we're going to wheel it. Blowing a gale, David. We saw one doe, it just nipped into that wee plantation.
Stop that one, it's night and day between up here and
Aye,
down here.
that's what I was saying, just better on the lower ground.
Right.
You know, I think.
We follow Philip and Christian once more. Stalking and spying, there's nothing wrong with their fieldcraft, but the deer just aren't showing. At least no one else is having any luck either.
Did they get a shot?
No, I saw a buck in there, but it wasn't the buck we were looking for.
Right. I think the wind's helped there with the strong wind.
Yeah.
It's not like it was blowing a gale on the top there.
Aye, up that glen.
Even when we got round kind of other glen,
Yeah.
it was strong west wind.
We stalked up that. There was a nice buck in there last week in that valley, but there was nothing in the spot. The wind was coming down and they went to the smaller valley, and there was 2 or 3 does sitting on the bank, and the small buck in the bottom. Full pointer, but quite strong at the bottom. But that's the one out of that valley, and that's the one out of that valley. But that was maybe up in the wood today.
Okay.
I'll leave it up to you. You'll be ready to shoot, so I'll leave you the decision to. Okay.
Time is running out, but David and Peter decide to change their hand one last time. Quickly they discover a promising spot.
Here where the green is. Yeah, where the green is. There. Depends how close it is, you know.
Okay.
And if you need to.
Okay. Let's test the stick.
Just hold the stick if you want.
Yep. That's comfortable.
The weather has taken a turn since the previous stalk, but there is still chance of roe, and David saw a shootable buck here not long ago. We wait for signs of movement, and it's not long before we get them. It's a doe, and she isn't hanging around. We spot more does, and then finally our buck.
There's another 2 does coming now.
Battling the wind and with the buck's head in the hedgerow, Peter readies for the shot. It's down right away. 6 stalks after we joined him, Peter has a buck in the bag.
Did you do the wheel for seal?
Yeah.
What's the German?
Was? Weidmannsheil.
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 Yeah. Probably not.
Not too big, but
Good. Very good. Good shot.
Yep.
Spot on.
Spot on.
yo,
For a night like this, it was a good.
you haven't seen it.
Quick shot as well.
Yeah,
Quick shot, very shot, quick
Yeah.
shot.
Where did it stop, David?
Just stopped here. It just got to go through the fence, isn't it?
Where were you just?
I just on the now. Just
Why do you come here to shoot? Is it because of the quality of the road here?
Not only of the quality of the road here, it is also I would say the friendly people here, the professional stalking, the nice landscape, and the good trophies. That's sure, but all together is the package we searched, and we searched a long time to find a place like here in eastern England or in southeastern Scotland. The start of the week was very good. It begins with a gold medal book for my son, for Christian, and I think it may be a bit too expensive for us to shoot every day a gold medal book, but thank God it was not this way. Have done the next day. I shoot this book here. It's probably a bronze book. It was on a very nice valley on the White-Adder. So after this week we have now 5 trophies. And there are 2 medals inside this bag, and it's very good. It's to get 3 medal boxes in this short time. It's amazing.
We may have tasted success, but there's still one night left. Christian heads out one more time.
This is where it was last night, and then it trotted across the field here to that side, but we were over there with the wind coming that way. I would just tuck in here. Somebody can get rifle wind on there, okay.
Accompanied by David, we return to the location we saw the buck on the very first stalk. Then, Peter was behind the rifle, but couldn't get a shot away before the buck disappeared. Christian hopes to go one better. Sadly, the only fauna that show themselves that night are hares, and Christian is heading home without a shot, but that's hunting for you. but we're still not done. With his German clients well on the road home, David decides he will treat himself to a stalk for a change. Heading to a likely location, he is only in position a matter of minutes before a young buck shows, followed quickly by an older beast that fits the bill to shoot. A quick but close shot is called for, and sure enough, he delivers the goods. The buck drops just out of shot, but we find it within minutes. David isn't accustomed to solo stalking anymore, but he's well accustomed to the next steps, dragging the buck out for inspection. Happily, it might even turn out to be a metalhead.
It's got a fair bit weight in the bottom.
Yeah, nice bit weight in the bottom.
It's just a bit luck on the last sort of half hour of light there. It was a good result.
You don't get to take bucks yourself very often, I guess, so you're taking people out all the time.
Very little. Yeah, I do a wee bit busman's on a muntjac and that each year. I'll shoot quite. I shoot more muntjac every year than I do roe. I shoot 1 or 2 does at the end of the cull, and I don't think I shot a buck at all last year. Last half hour, young buck. Well, I think it was another 6-pointer. It was chasing out, but it's a smaller 6-pointer, obviously, and chased it out. Stopped briefly, but long enough to take the shot.
Job done.
And job done. That was it.
A buck for your season.
I know that'll be the buck for my season. You know, probably a bronze or something. I think it'll measure into a bronze medal. So it's a nice buck, and just as I say, a difficult buck. Very, very rarely I've seen. You know, once a year maybe, and that's it. A fleeting glance. And sometimes at distance, so it's one you could spend a lot of time trying to chase and never get it. You know.
A trio of bucks from the boys there, and now the shooting show news.
This is the shooting show news. The British Deer Society warned the British public against inadvertently stealing deer kids from their mothers. Young deer are regularly picked up and taken to vets or animal charities when the doe has only left for a short time to graze. The BDS's Dominic Griffith said human interference had reached such an extent that a campaign to educate the non-shooting public was necessary. More deer news in the next issue of Sporting Rifle. British Olympic clay shooter Ed Ling has broken the world record with 200 straight in universal trench. Ed was in Spain competing in the European Championships, and his score makes him the first person to achieve the perfect 200. Ed won the World UT Championships in 2009 and shot in the London Olympics, but missed out on a place in the final. For a full report, don't miss Clay Shooting magazine. An 18-year-old has won a BASC award for campaigning against W.H. Smith's age restrictions on shooting magazines. Using social media, the 18-year-old assembled a petition that received support from more than 12,000 people. In recognition of his work, he was given the Ian Richardson Trophy at the association's AGM. James said the award means a great deal to him, and he was grateful to everyone who supported the petition. BASC has highlighted another victory for shooters after a charity it runs allowed a wildfowlers club to buy their own land. The loan from the Wildlife Habitat Trust helped the Bridgewater Bay wildfowlers buy 10.5 acres of grazing wetland, which allowed it to secure 7 more acres from neighbouring landowners. The WHD has now provided financial assistance to shooting and conservation groups totalling more than £1.5 million. And finally, the Game and Wildlife Conservation Trust's Woodcock Watch has revealed that the monitored birds' spring migration has been completed, though they set off 10 days later than last year. The poor British weather is thought to be the reason for the delay, and non-migratory woodcock were also late in their roading displays. Volunteers are currently surveying the woodcock population in the UK to get a better idea of their numbers. That was the shooting show news.
Today we're up at the shooting range, not to test a new rifle, but to do some mid-range shooting, making use of the ballistic reticle inside the Swarovski scope. In conjunction with that, we're going to be using Swarovski's Ballistic app, which you've already seen used by Tim Pilbeam with the ballistic turrets on a Z6. This is a Z4, it's a 2.5 to 10 by 56 with the ballistic reticle. And the first thing that we need to do to start this process is zero it in at 100 yards. So we'll crack on and do that, and I'm going to talk you through the steps to be able to use this scope out to 400 yards efficiently. Okay, so 3 shots at 100 yards. I knew that my rifle was zeroed already, and the grouping is pretty much spot on. You'll see that it's slightly over to the right hand side, but that is because there is a 5-6 mile an hour breeze here, and I'm going to show you the ballistics data with regard to wind later, but it correlates to about a 0.4 of an inch wind drift, which is pretty much what that is. Now you will also notice that the group is a bit high of the center, and in fact if I get my calipers you will see that it is 1.4 inches or thereabouts high. The reason for that is that we want to be able to make use of the graduations on the reticle in the most efficient way possible, and as we will see as we go through it, 1.4 inches high at 100 yards, which correlates to 190 yards zero, will allow a very efficient use of the corresponding graduations below right out to 400 yards. So the next step is to actually go and have a look at the app. The first thing to do once opening your app is pick the correct scope. So we're using a Z4. I've got the ballistic reticle that we're using inputted along with the 10 power that we're going to be using. The next thing is to make sure that you've got the correct ammunition input. So we're using Gecko 243 105 grain ammo. The muzzle velocity is very important when you're shooting at any kind of extended range, but having had my rifle over the chronograph before, I know that it is very close to this factory output of 2953, so we're going to leave that be. If we look at the reticle output first, you will see the reason why we have 190 yards zero, and if you look at the information at the bottom here, you will also understand now why we had a 1.4 inch high zero at 100 yards, which equates to 190 yards zero. And then, if you look at the graduations on the reticle, you can see that they almost correlate to 300, 350 and 400 yards. There's a few yards in it either way, but that's not going to make a whole lot of difference. Now the only way that you can get a nice tidy output like this is really through trial and error. So depending on the ammunition that you're using, you just need to input the zero range and see if you can get an output which is easy to remember. So with this information, we're going to go forward and start shooting 300 and beyond. Well, that's pretty good. I actually missed my first shot and I could see it hit the soil just in the back here, and I thought about it and realized yes, indeed there is a bit of wind. I can feel it just at the back of my neck here. I got my wind meter out back at the car and it was going between sort of 5 and 7 miles per hour. Had a look on the chart on the Swarovski Ballistics app, input my 7 miles an hour, and it told me that we're going to be about 4 inches of wind drift. To compensate for that, I aimed on the edge of the target here, which I knew would give me enough to actually hit it, and sure enough, managed to hit it pretty much central. Slightly lower than I would have liked, but I mean, this is 300 yards, so that could easily be the grouping, but we saw how tight the grouping was back at 100 yards, so I know that that's no problem. So very happy with that. The first graduation certainly works. I guess we'll go out to the 350 target and see where we hit that. I hit the target, but only just. And looking at it now, that's most definitely my fault. You can see where my bullet strike is here. I was aiming for this dark patch here. But I did look at my chart and it said a full 6 inches of drift, and I didn't fully calculate that correctly. I was aiming just off to the edge here, so you can see if you look across here, that is pretty much about 6 inches, so the chart on the app was spot on. So I think we'll go back, we'll try it again, check the wind, it feels about the same as it was before. We'll take another shot at these targets, see if we can do a bit of a better job. Well, again, that's not too bad. This steel that I'm using is quite soft because it's just scrap bits of metal that I've found, so there are some quite deep bullet holes in this piece of metal already. But you can see where the bullet struck just here, and it slipped into a hole that already existed. But where it struck is only just over an inch away from where the last bullet hit, which isn't too bad. In fact, it's like I said last time, my first bullet went a little bit lower than I was expecting. This is more in line with the center where I was aiming. You can see that in terms of the ballistic reticle that we're using, and that's really what we're trying to look at today, it most definitely works. I'm aiming just about this area here, and that is pretty much where my bullets have gone, and any variation has just been wind. Now, you can't expect to get the wind absolutely perfect when you're not dialing in for it. And that is one of the limitations when we're looking at it from a hunting perspective. But it also lets you see how important it is to take into account all of the environmental factors, especially if you're starting to push the distance a bit. So I think that the only thing that's left to do now is have a look at that last graduation. I'm going to move my shooting position back to 400 yards and have a crack at the target again. I have to say I am pleasantly surprised with the results here. I knew I'd hit the target, but I wasn't quite sure exactly where. You can see from the group here, that's really not too bad at all. Of course, there was a few factors that we're taking into account to achieve this. The first, as we've already said, is wind. There's been a very consistent 5-mile-an-hour wind today. Plugging that into the Swarovski Ballistic app gave me 6 inches of wind drift, which is what I was consistently holding over, and it certainly seemed to work. Of course, we were also using the graduations on the ballistic reticle. Now at 400 yards we're on the very last graduation on the scope, and it was absolutely spot on. I really am quite impressed with how well it's worked. Once you've got your data correctly inputted into the app, it's very straightforward to use, and what we have most certainly proved today is that the data and the output work, and they work very well. It really is good fun to utilize your rifle out at the distances that we've been shooting today, and I can certainly see me spending a lot more time on the range shooting steel plates out at 350 and 400 because of the graduations on the scope. But it's been a lot of fun, and I think I'm probably going to do a bit more shooting now.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. We're out every Monday, 7:30 PM UK time. This is The Shooting Show.